Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between MYM Cloud and oGs here in the Xel'Naga Caverns Game 2 in this matchup. And already at the start of the game, oGs looking to do some trickery. He's moving out with a very early probe, and this probe may be able to set up and get perhaps a proxy gateway play. So this one probe, what is going to be happening? It looks like it's going to be hiding along this backside here. If it warps in a pylon here and then followed by a forge, it can then warp in cannons here. No, it looks like it's just going to do a proxy gateway, warping in there, and now that SCV going to come down into this location. Is it going to spot the pylon? Yes, it does spot the pylon, and now building a supply depot right in there in order to try to hold up some of that positioning. And now you can see SCV is also coming over as well to try to block any serious positioning of any of those buildings. A gateway will be warped in, and this is one of those instances where I think Cloud should not have placed the supply depot right there. He should probably have put it in just a little bit higher up, and by doing so, it would have actually prevented the gateway from being placed down, taking up even more valuable real estate. The pylon just a little bit too far away. You can see that gateway still taking a lot of damage, and now those SCVs all coming off the mineral line in order to fight back and deal damage towards it. You can see now another pylon most likely will be warped in back. Let's take a look at the production. A gateway is still currently being warped in here, and are we going to get another gateway? I think another gateway could be warped in here, and that would put even more pressure into this game so far. Those SCVs continuing to just try to shut down this gateway. I think this gateway is going to get canceled. Is it going to get canceled? Yeah, it does get canceled, and now a new gateway being warped in instead, and now that probe, once again, just going to wander around, forcing 5 SCVs to come back and try to destroy it. So 5 SCVs in an attempt to shut down a gateway there. A probe still wandering around on the inside. You can see a pylon has been warped in here. So oGs also getting a gateway inside his building, and this is just delaying Cloud, and this is going to be a real issue for Cloud, as Cloud has these 5 SCVs. He's not going to really be able to shut down that gateway, I don't think, as that gateway will finish warping in, but it's not going to be able to warp in any additional zealots. Perhaps one SCV should return back to mining, as this is significantly hurting oGs's mining abilities. And now it looks as though a Marine will be popping out of there in just a moment. Another gateway has been canceled. A probe now returning home, and most likely a Marine will be rallied into this location here and shutting down this pylon. Taking a look at the resources gathered so far, that's what's the total income? So no, that's not income. What am I thinking of? Production spending. Total spending, it looks like oGs has spent more on his economy, more on technology, and more on his army as well. So so far oGs is in a little bit of a lead in overall, just because he did not have to pull off those SCVs in order to deal back damage. And now this is a slight game reset. This is a very effective tactic for Protoss, and several of the reasons why is probes do not need to mine, or do not need to be next to their buildings in order to mine. So that is a definite benefit. On top of that, the longer the game goes, during the early portion of the game, the more energy you are going to get on a Nexus. So that Nexus will be able to chrono boost and build more buildings or speed up the production of your economy as well. You can see that oGs didn't really hurt his economy all too much. 21 versus 20. So his economy wasn't hurt all too bad, as now as a probe going to make its way over here. There are a couple Marines, and it looks like it's going to be a late Reaper fast expansion. Oh, a probe trying to walk up the ramp there, quickly getting turned back by 2 Marines guarding that location. Zealot now on the move. Warp gate nearing completion, and we should be getting some additional gateways. No, a robotics factory, a facility now being built. So that robo facility now for early observers, we are going to be getting an early Reaper out now, and that Reaper are going to try to do some scouting, also going to be very effective against any zealots, as that Reaper goes down to the low ground. Had to be very careful. Now going to be able to perhaps shoot down that probe. Not quite so, as this SCV in a bit of trouble. The Marines and the Reaper battling it out, and it looks like they're gonna jump inside just in time. That Reaper will be able to get the final shot off there, and now out comes a Marauder, and now a Marauder going to battle it out against a Stalker. And who will win this battle? I believe the Marauder got off one shot first, and it will win out on that battle. Marauder versus a Stalker. a very, very close battle in that regards, but the Marauder was able to shoot first and then get in a little bit more damage. An SCV is still wandering around here at Robotics Facility, now training up that early and all-important Observer, as we are now going to be upgrading into warp gates. And now we are also establishing a Nexus here by oGs. oGs needs to get another Nexus, as Cloud most likely will be lifting off with this orbital command in just a moment, perhaps training 2 or 3 SCVs first, establishing bunkers down here, and then mining off of 2 bases. So he does have a slight lead now, especially with that additional mule in play, and oGs going to have a very difficult time to try to combat any of this. And you can see Marine, where is that Reaper now? The Reaper now coming in over from here. You can see 20 hit points on that Reaper, and quickly getting shot down there. The Reaper only with a range of 4.5, quickly falling to the hands of a Stalker and some sentries. So Probes now doing some long distance mining. oGs will set up this expansion in about 30 more seconds. And now the Observer does see what he doesn't want to see. Cloud already establishing his expansion here, transferring SCVs. He should have, 31 SCVs versus 30 probes, and the mules are still being called down. Plenty of energy on the Nexus. Not quite sure why he's not chrono boosting probes out. He needs to get back into this game economically. We are going into a robotics facility and 2 additional gateways, so it's going to be 4 gate, 2 robo here in the Xel'Naga, or 1 robo here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. I would like to see a second robotics facility, just because, or robotics facility, just because of the sheer amount of Marines and Marauders we have so far. But the Starport will be training medevacs, and then right behind it training those Vikings. So Vikings going to be in addition to that army. Cloud most likely will scanner sweep, will see the robotics bay, and then know that he needs to get Vikings in order to counteract those Colossus. Otherwise, those Colossus are going to be able to roll over his infantry-centered army. Back here, supply depot is now being laid down. SCV also building the supply depot right there, making sure that he has an early warning system on any attacks that may come in from that backside. And now building another supply depot here. So scout farms here in the Xel'Naga Caverns, really nicely done. And we'll see what is going to be happening here. There is an observer nearby. And now just keeping track and keeping tabs on the inside of the base. One of the things I never understood was, how come a burrowed supply depot can't be like a burrowed, or sorry, lowered supply depot can't be like a burrowed building for Terran? You know, you can't see it unless you have an observer, since it's hidden underground, and you can't really build anything on top of it because, well, and you can't build on top of a burrowed Zergling. oGs with that Nexus here, he does have a couple pylons now warping in. We should be seeing more Colossus, more units being added. No weapons upgrade though. Extended thermal lance range now underway, and a poor SCV quickly getting cut in half by those lasers there. An observer now parked itself outside the front door of Cloud, as well as there's still 1 observer here running off of 4 racks, and now 1 starport double training Vikings. So that 1 observer may get shot down. Down it goes. 3 rounds of attack, all it really takes for a missile turret to shoot down an observer. You have to be very careful with your observers, otherwise you will lose them very quickly. Cloud now making his way in with this factory, trying to get as much scouting information. He's not going to see anything he doesn't already know, and now going to scanner sweep on the back end of it. And now pretty much knows that the robotics facility is not over there, but he probably can guess the extended thermal lance range has been completed. More Vikings still being queued up, as an armory now being added. So the armory most likely for level 2 infantry upgrades, or maybe even ship upgrades for those Vikings, being able to deal an additional 2 damage per round of attack. Colossus now making their way over. 1 Colossus blocking another Colossus from being able to move in, and the Colossus are now on the move. Colossus do take up 6 food, but they are such a critical role, and now with 4 Colossus, those Colossus may be able to get a lot of damage onto these Marines and those Marauders. But there are now going to be 4 to 6 Vikings in just a moment, and as long as the Vikings are able to focus down onto those Colossus don't really stand a chance against that. There is such a large army now coming in, 3,800 versus 3,625. Taking a look at the foods army supply, 84 versus 61. but a slightly less worker supply coming in from Cloud as well. So both sides continuing to battle it out. We are going to get a Nexus now warping in on the low ground expansion here, and that will quickly be able to establish a third base. As you can see, oGs is starting to run out of minerals, down to 500, 400, and a couple of mineral patches. He should be transferring some of those probes to this location here, perhaps getting a couple of pylons on that high ground just in case there are any drops or any raids with Marauders and Marines. Cloud just opting to build a very, very strong army, and now just keeping up with constant production. He is currently supply locked, now building up 3 supply depots in order to free himself from being supply locked. And now, once again, queuing back up, getting more Vikings, getting more Marauders, and at some point he's going to have 200 or about 160 food. Also establishing a command center here along the backside. I like this positioning in order to establish the expansion here. The Observer does spot this out and knows that the Marauders have finished off these destructible rocks, so a third base may be established. There is a probe activating this Xel'Naga watchtower. And now the one Marine just going to make the trek over there, see a probe, kind of laugh that he actually tried to walk around it, as the Colossus are now going to make their way out. The Stalkers are not upgraded, and this is not going to be good for oGs at all. There is also going to be a Marine coming down over here. Stalkers now warping in, and that poor Marine going to get stuck on the wrong side and now simply get destroyed there. The Observer is now in full retreat, as he doesn't want to get shot out of the sky, and now SCV is looking around to make sure that there are no additional proxy pylons. We have a fleet of Vikings now in the air. Yeah, 10 Vikings in the air doing 280 damage per round of attack, going to be able to deal a lot of damage. And now Stalkers are going to be trying to come in along the backside. The Vikings are already in position to try to deal that damage, and now this Nexus is simply going to fall very, very easily. Nexus already shot down. Down it goes, getting caught out of position. A scanner sweep being used, and now the Vikings going after those units. Marauders are on the low ground as well, offering some additional support, and that was just a really, really bad fight there. Army supply 128 versus 100, and we now also know that oGs is supply locked 161 over 148 compared to 185 at 185. Cloud now going to establish a high yield mineral location, and now getting the level 3 infantry upgrades in addition to that Mobius reactor for starting energy of 25 on those Ghosts. Those Ghosts are going to have enough energy coming out in order to snipe. And the Stalkers were able to perhaps get some damage there, and now the Colossus are trying to battle it out. There are some force fields nicely done in order to try to block some of those Marines, but the Vikings are still going after the Colossus, and the Colossus are getting focused down way too quickly. The Vikings only have one target and one target alone, and because of that, with no Phoenix support at all, those Vikings now can just simply land on the ground and finish off the rest of this game here. Probes coming off the mineral line, and there's the GG, or rather the WW. So oGs losing to Cloud here in the Xel'Naga Caverns after an unsuccessful cheese attempt. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Cloud and oGs.